Good morning. Let's start today's current affair discussion. Okay. So the first news is regarding a specific disease, the Alzheimer's syndrome. Fine. So why it is in news? Because an experimental drug aimed at slowing or preventing cognitive decline in people at risk of developing the disease called Alzheimer's have failed in clinical trials. This is a severe blow to efforts aimed at finding a trivializing treatment to the neurodegenerative disease. Fine. So, Alzheimer's disease is a neurodegenerative disease. So, since last few years, there is a research going on to develop a drug which can slow this process of this disease or preventing cognitive decline in people at risk. But the clinical trial was a failure. So putting the scientists, that community or the health scientists doing research for this, so with much frustration because a long research on this disorder, they are unable to find a solution to the issue. So what this then let's see what this disease is. Alzheimer's is a degenerative brain disorder that slowly robs people of their memory and thinking abilities. So two things here we need to discuss. One is, so this slowly affect the people in their memory and thinking abilities. Neither they can think anything nor they can memorize anything. Worldwide, it is the most common form of dementia or loss of cognitive functioning. So this is a loss of cognitive functioning where we are unable to recognize, remember, recollect, or identify based on memory or thinking. Thinking, remembering, and reasoning, contributing 60 to 70% cases according to WHO report. Fine. So if someone in the family or close group is affected with this disease, so he or she loses his natural process of thought and remembering the things. So the sense of forgetfulness develops. Initially, it is recognized as a sense of forgetfulness, but in due course of time, so it develops. This goes on increasing, and the stage reaches when lot of disorders took place in the person. So putting himself and the family at much risk. Fine. Let's see what this is. Something more on this. Progressive and irreversible. So irreversible, it usually begins with a mild memory loss. So this Alzheimer's disease, it develops or it starts as a mild memory loss. So I'm unable to recollect, I'm losing my memory. This is the first feelings or symptoms. Person become forgetful, they're unable to recognize, they are unable to remember the things. So memory loss, and as symptoms grow severe, patient lose the ability to perform the simple tasks. So they forget to even do the simple task. Fine. Pathology of the disease is deposition of an abnormal protein called beta amyloid in the brain. The disease starts much before the symptoms show up. The symptom may come at a certain age, but the pathology changes almost a decade earlier. You see, by the time the disease became prominent, so it might be 1 decade, but the process of decay has started. So almost a decade back, the disease has started. The symptoms get manifested after a long gap. By that time, it became very severe one. Okay, so if your close family someone is affected with this disease, so it go to the market in the initial phase. Will go to the market, accompanying you, and he'll come back, leaving you in the market because he forget that he has taken you to the market. He'll go by a vehicle and he'll park his vehicle and he'll come back by walking or hiring an auto, forgetting that he has driven a vehicle to the market. This is the forgetfulness. So initially this happens. So he don't know with whom he has accompanied to the particular event, or whether he drive a vehicle or come by public transport. So he or she develops sense of forgetfulness. Okay, that is loss of memory. The disease discovered by Dr. Alois Alzheimer examined a memory loss patient's brain after the death in 1906 and found abnormal clumps and bundles of fibers, okay, which are beta amyloid plaque and neurofibrillary tangles. So these, in his name, the name of Alois Alzheimer, the disease has been named as the Alzheimer disease. Fine. The plaque and tangles, along with loss of concentration between the neurons to transmit message inside the brain, are key markers of this disease, because neurons normally pass the information in the brain, they transmit it, but if they are obstructed, don't function properly, this disorder get manifested in the person. Fine. So what this latest trial that failed, the decade long effort to use Senizumab, a drug designed to block beta amyloid and involve people with a specific genetic mutation, which leads to the early onset of Alzheimer's around the age of mid-40s. So these symptoms normally develops in the mid-40s and not in the much early age, but in the aging process they started, and we normally neglect it as if it is a part of the aging process. Forgetfulness, we tell it initially. This forgetfulness is normally coincidental with aging process, but the person is being affected with disease is recognized much late. The trial was backed by drug makers Roche, the United States National Institute of Aging, and the Arizona-based non-profit Banner Alzheimer's Foundation. It targeted the less prevalent autosomal dominant Alzheimer's disease (ADAD). Fine. So the target. So it was, so who are in the group that on the research? The one is a pharmaceutical company, Roche, the United States National Institute of Aging, and the Arizona-based non-profit Banner Alzheimer's Foundation. Three, number one, number two, and number three. This is joint venture, and this joint venture research developed this medicine of this particular drug to handle this disease. But unfortunately, its clinical trial was a failure. Right. This put dishearten the persons involved in this process, and also so again sometime it will be delayed for the research. Earlier in 2019, Roche has stopped Serinjob phase 3 trial for sporadic Alzheimer's, which accounts for nearly 90% of the cases after result fall short of expectation. So this is being done since last 2 3 years, experiments, but experiments are not in the positive results. Roche announced recently that the result for this latest trial were disappointing and did not show significant clinical benefits. Both AD and sporadic AD according to researchers have similar pathological and clinical features. So because this Alzheimer has different dimensions, different phases, or different manifestations, so the trial was on almost all the different manifestations of the disease, but unfortunately, it was in the experiment, it has not up to the mark and has not performed. The medicine has not performed at all in this treatment. To slow down the process, so bringing a cure is the second thing, but first thing is most important is bringing a slowdown in the process, and even in that, it has failed. This is what, so the biggest heartbreaking news for the scientists who were in this process of research for this finding a solution. So why the failure seen as a major setback? A drug to prevent and treat the memory robbing disease has proved elusive for years. According to WTO, dementia is currently the seventh leading cause of death among the all diseases and one of the major cause of disability and dependency among old people globally. Because this affects the old people, so it makes them dependent. In the present world, so the big burden on the society is the number of dependent people. So first they are progressing by age, their age, the aged people. The second is, so they, due to memory loss, they are even unable to do their basic functions. So they are to be completely dependent of on someone else. And that is what, that is where lies the big problem, that as the dependency grow, so the worry for the society. So who will carry them? Because in the present world, so none is willing to carry the other. Okay, and so the societal values have been lost, where the old and the aged are to be cared for. Okay, by his or her own family members. That phase is gone. And right now, in this age of keen competition and personal improvement, people have very less time to find time for others to care for them. Fine. And under the circumstances, so if a cure is available for this particular disease, it might be a big solace to the person who have been affected as well as the family members, because so their peace of mind is lost once their kin and kids affected by this particular disease. Fine. In 2020, there are 121 unique therapies being tested in 136 trials to find a cure for AD, according to research published in the journals of Alzheimer's Association of USA. This drug development pipeline shoot from a review of the US Federal Drug Administration's clinical trial registry sound impressive until juxtaposed with another statistics. So there is hope that yes, very soon the prevention and cure to this particular disorder will be found, so bringing some solace. But so initial positive response was later turned to be negative, and this was what is a big heartening news for all. Prior to this, a similar review of this AD drugs pipeline by researcher had looked at 244 compounds in 413 clinical trials between 2000 and 2012 and found a staggering 99.6% failure rate against 81% for cancer. By the time a drug pipeline review was published in 2020, no drug has made it past the finish line. So that is why it's a big setback. In 2021, however, the US Federal Drug Administration approved Bygon's beta amyloid targeting drugs Aduhelm, making it the first new Alzheimer drug to receive approval in the US in almost 20 years. But the first drug approval was followed by a fierce debate among scientists over the trial data. Because without adequate trial data and proper proof, so due to its prevailing or growing menace, so approval is given for the drugs, but some raise doubts about the efficiency or effect of this particular drug. And in subsequent period, so ultimate result is disheartening because it has no effect. The clinical trial which was undertaken by the drug company so was a failure. So this is a disheartening news. While the controversy continued to rage, so syringe was failure to has called into question the very approach of relying too much on neutralizing beta amyloid to fight the disease. The strategy being tried in the majority of the Alzheimer's studies, because they do a particular target to a particular requirement, but that led to the failure. So whether that is the only option left or something else can be carried out is right now to be discussed. The latest drug pipeline review published in May 2022 said that there were 143 agents in 127 clinical trials for AD as on 25th January 2022. This is what the biggest or expectation that this Alzheimer's will be cured in future or the process will slow down in future was again a setback. Another approach involved the targeting instead of the toxic beta amyloid block the tau protein that misfolds and deposit in the brain cells in the form of a twisted fibers called neurofibrillary tangles. But drug targeting these proteins individually, the one drug, one target model, have not achieved a breakthrough yet. So, particular targeting a particular brain cell, okay, so has not even achieved that substantial tangible positive result. And when the it it was not that very proactively achieved. So this second failure is again considered as a major setback. Some scientists are also turning their focus on a drug strategy that targets multiple enzymes and pathways that contribute to the progress of the disease. Okay, so because this disease targeting particular brain cell has not been successful, the second approach of the as bundle is a failure. So right now the next option is that state that targets multiple enzymes and pathways that is in the process, and research will be in this direction. This involves multifunctional compounds or multi-targeted directed ligands uh, that attempt to engage or modulate multiple biochemical targets and are seen as potential master key that open several locks. So the next, because curiosity and interest is the most important aspect in this, and scientists are not going to leave this unless and until they achieve tangibly and reach in their goal. So in this way, so further research will continue because man's curiosity and his desire to think in the most negative manner, so with negative situation with an optimistic mindset has brought many miracle drugs, and that too in a very short time span also. So this we are expecting, we are hopeful that in future this will be done and better sense will prevail. Fine. Another approach is aimed at modifiable lifestyle factor to slow cognitive recognition. This is the basis of the worldwide finger study, which expands out of the encouraging results of a 2-year finger Finnish cognitive intervention study to prevent cognitive impairment and disability, randomized clinical trial. The finger study showed a 40% improvement in the memory function and 20% in the overall cognition in 1260 participants aged 60 to 77. So when medicine fell, so they tried to add it in some different way. Okay, because medicine failed, so how to cure this? So they tried to add finishing geriatric intervention study to prevent cognitive impairment, because as you know this is a loss of cognition or cognition recognition power. So how to do some exercises which will renew it, and that will ultimately result in uh, less loss of memory and some sort of recognition because of the practices at regular interval. According to experts, genetics and aging are non-modifiable, irreversible features in Alzheimer's disease. Genetics is a loaded gun, the trigger for which are the modifiable factors. The strongest modifiable factors linked to this disease are hypertension, diabetes, smoking, alcohol consumption, and sedentary lifestyle. If these are the known factors that promote this disease, so any change in these or any intervention in these may ultimately result in finding solution to this. This is what you can go for a cure or prevention. Sometimes that has come up in the last 4 5 years is that the lack of social network and isolation can also be okay triggers for the disease. Studies like fingers targeted such modifiable lifestyle factors that they have found a reduction in the incidence of Alzheimer's in the Western scenario. So social lack of social interaction, fine. So some diseases, okay. So isolation, sedentary lifestyles, all these are related to aggravating the situation. If all these aggravate the situation, so what more can be done? So to ensure that, so these promoting factors that acts as a catalyst in the spread of this disease, they are controlled, then situation may improve without the medicine being available right now. So till a sure shot medicine is made available by research, so these minimum precautions can be undertaken, which will slow down the process, and regular practice of these things will ensure that So there is improvement from entering to this particular disorder. Okay, what is the Indian scenario? In India, only 1 in 10 people with dementia receive any diagnostic treatment for care for disease, according to the World Alzheimer Report 2021. Although 10 are affected by this disease, but only 1 out of the 10 each recognize or get any treatment. Okay, rest are treated as if so they are. This is a situation. This is an impact of the aging process that needs no special treatment as the person is going his age is growing, it become aged. So forgetfulness is a natural process, but they are not aware that this is a disease which can be prevented or which can be slowed down with some change in the approach of the persons and his surrounding. Fine. Lack of awareness is a major problem in battling the disease. Most of our population accept it as normal aging, which is incorrect. Only when it reaches an unmanageable stage, like when the patients start wetting their clothes and are not aware of it, is when medical help is sought. Okay, so till the situation aggravates, so we in India we take it as forgetfulness. It is due to aging. As you are growing older, you are becoming old person, you are forgetting the things. But we are not sure that this is the start of a disease, and that disease has been with him for the last more than 1 decade. And if it is not controlled, it will further aggravate. An increasing prevalence of diabetes, hypertension, and obesity is expected to drive the incidence of dementia in India in the coming decades. Because as you know, India is very soon going to the diabetic capital. Then hypertension and other lifestyle disease, obesity, the lifestyle diseases. So they are the major factors promoting this particular disease. If these are not checked, so in future, so we are going to be severely affected. According to Global Burden of Disease study published this year in the Lancet report, India could see a 197% jump in dementia, including Alzheimer, from 3.84 million cases in 2019 to 11.44 million cases by 2050 if the situation is not improved, precautionary measures are not taken, and awareness is not created among the people that this is the forgetfulness is not a natural process due to the age, but it is a disease called Alzheimer or dementia, which can be checked with some precaution, some practices, and we have to continue this till some medicine or drug is developed to slow down or stop this disease. Fine. So this is what about the disease called Alzheimer. Okay. Then the second topic is we have to discuss is regarding the potential in using non-humanoid robots for teaching children with autism. No, autistic children are a big challenge for the society. No doubt God has given a gift, but that gift is not a complete form because the child is an autistic child. He has his mental development is not in proportion to his physical development, and he needs extra care because autistic children so are especially able child, they need special care to lead a near normal life. They cannot lead a normal life, but with special care they can lead a near normal life. A research paper examines whether non-humanoid robots can act as teaching aids and whether they can reduce the workload of human special educators. Experiments by researchers from the Indian Institute of Science and the Academy for Service Severe Handicap and Autism, ASA, Bangalore, indicated that non-humanoid toy robots indeed may have significant potential in aiding special educators in autism education. Robotics has been used as teaching aids for children with autism spectrum disorder, but these interventions have often been expensive humanoids. Okay, you know, as you all know, autistic children need special care. So whether this care can be this providing this care can be supplemented by robots. If this can be done by robots, the monotony of the things will be reduced, and these robots can help the teaching fraternity in providing the services in a better way to the special children. The paper was presented at the IEEE International Conference on Robotics and Automation at the Siam, China in 2021. It has now won the ISCC Murthy Govindaraju Women's in Computer Science Research Endowment Award for one of the lead author, Navnita Paul. So she has given it. So this is possible. Navnita Paul has given this, that this can be done, and this, if introduced or if done properly, this can improve the situation of caring for the autistic children or helping the teachers in educating them. ASD is a developmental disability caused by differences in the brain. People with ASD may behave, communicate, interact, and learn in a way that are different from most other people. In the paper, the interventions focus on ASD children's communication and gross motor skill because they are specially able children whose mental development is slow, so they need special care, special teaching aid, and special group of teachers who can pass on the knowledge to them to make them take it in a very easy way. The paper details three studies. A toy robot called Cosmo assisted special educator in verbal lessons on school premises. A mini drone Tello helps special educators in exercise lessons again on school premises, and Cosmo special educators HD children content remotely for verbal lessons. The Talk with Cosmo sessions include storytelling followed by questions related to the story, exercise with Tello. 55 children included rudimentary lessons such as raising arms and squatting, and learn with Cosmo online, including various aspects including spelling, three-letter words, and phonetic learning. These things, which may be monotonous for the real teachers or physical teachers, can be done by the robots. This monotonous work can be done by robots with animation in a more interesting way, because the way this is being covered for the child may create a sense of happiness or a sense of more receptive power in the child, because the topic is presented in a very interesting way through the application of the artificial intelligence. Fine. The research measures and compared learning outcomes with these interventions and without them. All these studies show improvement in learning outcomes and reduction in prompts from as special educators, denoting reduced workload. Results show that children spend more time on lessons in online intervention with Cosmo, suggesting that using robots should also be considered when designing online interventions. Furthermore, the role of Cosmo were analyzed and found children showed increased spontaneous interaction with Cosmo acts as a co-instructor, because these children are not that proactive in receiving, so they are special children. So these robots, they supplement the work of the teachers. It's not that the robot will take the place of the teachers, but it will supplement. So when the teachers work is supplemented by the robots with artificial intelligence, okay, so this make the study more interesting, and the report says, always says, students using these are, they express more keenness or more interest to learn. That is a good thing, so which will be good for the society. Fine. Then the next topic is the Azoxanthalatic corals. So corals are of marine origin, marine creatures. Okay, and we have the coral island called the Lakshadweep Island. They are the saline water bodies, so the living creatures, and that they have specialization, because so in the growing warm current, ocean pollution, etc., the coral reefs are affected and damaged and they die. So let's see, for the first time, four species of Azoscynathelate corals are recorded in Indian waterway of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Fine. So discovery, this Tunacatophylabium caracus, T. incrustatum, T. aculatum, and T. irregular are the four species of Ajexca thalatic corals recorded. These are found in the shallow water regions of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. These four coral species are from the same family called the Habilidite. All these four species were previously found from Japan to the Philippines and Australian water, but they are not found in Indian waters. And for the first time, so they have been located in the Indian waters. So that is a great pride that we in India, the Indian water, is able to provide the condition for the existence of these special corals, so which are of marine creation, and that is what, so the for the first time these have been discovered in the Indian region. Only T. serratum was reported, okay, uh, within the range of Indo-Western Pacific distribution, including the Gulf of Aden and the Persian Gulf. Okay, Azoscalathite corals. These corals are a group of hard corals that do not contain zooxanthellae, unicellular golden brown algae. Fine. So, moving further, they have a highly compressed skeletal structure. They are non-reef building solitary corals which are found in dark habitats, especially within caverns. They derive nourishment not from the sun but from capturing different forms of planktons. Distribution. Their distribution is not limited to the upper layers of the ocean alone, but is known from the tropical seas to polar seas and from the intertidal zone to over 6,328 meters depth. So they can be present in such depth. These groups of corals are deep sea representatives, with the majority of the species reporting from between 200 to 1000 meter. Fine. So these are very innovative, unique things. Fortunately, in India, we are able to discover it. Their occurrence are also reported from shallow coastal waters. So, meanwhile, restricted to shallow water. So, this particular corals are restricted to shallow waters. There are about 570 species of hard corals found in India, and almost 90% of them are found in the ocean surrounding Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Fine. The uh, pristine and oldest ecosystem of corals share less than 1% of the Earth's surface, but they provide a home to nearly 25% of the marine life. Although this coral constitutes only 1% of the ocean area, but they support 25% of the marine lives. The diverse life of the marine ecosystem. So they live with the uh, corals in a symbiotic relationship. That is how, so the importance of this particular corals. Then we'll go to the next topic: open network for digital commerce. Government is right now promoting digital commerce because since the day of demonetization, government has been promoting this digital commerce because digital commerce has its own advantage. The Union Commerce Minister chaired the Open Network of Digital Commerce Advisory Council meeting. The government has constituted an advisory council to analyze the potential of ONDC, that means Open Network for Digital Commerce. Okay, ONDC as a concept, and to advise the government on measures needed to accelerate its adoption. The Open Network for Digital Commerce is a non-for-profit organization. It is an initiative of the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, okay, under the Ministry of Commerce and Industries. The ONDC is a network based on open protocol that will enable local digital commerce stores across industries to be discovered and engaged by any network enabled applications, and that will definitely make them visible in the platform. It is neither an aggregator applications nor a hosting platform. So it will make the things visible independently once anyone search for this. And this open network for digital commerce will open the scope for digital commerce in a more open way. All existing digital commerce applications and platforms can voluntarily choose to adapt and to be part of the ONDC network. In this system, ONDC plans to enable sellers and buyers to be digitally visible and transact through a single network, regardless of what e-commerce platform or application they are using or are used to. So ONDC model, the ONDC model is trying to replicate the success of the United Payment Interface (UPI) in the field of digital payment. As in India, the digital payment UPI made digital payment very successful in India. So success of that encourage the encourage government to launch this NDC, and this will further hasten the process of business in the country, and definitely this platform will help India to scale new height in the digital commerce. The UPI allow people to send or receive money irrespective of the payment platform they are registered on. Under ONDC, it is envisaged that a buyer registered on one participating e-commerce site, for example, Amazon, may purchase goods from a seller on another participating e-commerce site. Take the example. That means Amazon people can purchase from Flipkart and Flipkart people can purchase from Amazon, although they have registered with any one of these, so they can do their business in both the platforms. That is what, so it's open ended system, so which will facilitate, okay, to use any of these to go for digital commerce. The open network concept also extend beyond the retail sector to any digital commerce domains, including wholesale, mobility, food delivery, logistics, travel, urban services, etc. It's not only confined to sell of goods, but other things like wholesale, mobility, food delivery, logistic, travel, urban services, all are included under these particular services. The member of ONDC, including chairpersons of MNC and NGOs, Authority, National Health Authority, NPCI, Quality Control of India, Quality Council of India, and Capacity Building Commission, and Additional Secretary to DPIIT. Okay, information technology. The platform will be compliant with the Information Technology Act 2000 and designated for compliance with the Emerging Personal Data Protection Bill. So, the Personal Data Protection Bill is being discussed in the Parliament, and this ONDC will also be compatible with all these acts in operation. Will be able to take into consideration the NGOs, National Health Authority, NPCI, Quality Council of India, and Capacity Building Commission. Okay, so in cooperation of all these, this will operate to make the services available to the people, okay, online in the digital platform in a very convenient manner. Fine. Moving further benefits, the ONDC platform aims to create new opportunity, curb digital monopoly, and by supporting micro, small, and medium enterprises and small traders, and help them get a online platform. Although they have this own system of that, but they will be able to sell their products in the online platform. ONDC will standardize operations like cataloging, inventory management, order management, and other fulfillment. This will be standardized because so all will be doing it in using the same network, the same that their identity. So this will be done by the company. Hence, ONDC make it simpler and easier for small business to be discoverable over network and conduct business. Presently, ONDC is in its pilot stage in 5 cities: Delhi, capital region territory, Bengaluru, Bhopal, Shillong, and Coimbatore, with a target of onboarding around 150 retailers. Once this is successful, so more and more retailers will be tied up, and this service will be made available using the different other service providers. Then, after discussion of these topics, let's see the MCQ for today. Consider the following statement about the recognition of the Indian art and culture. Uh, Shantinatha Charita is the only general literature to be registered under the UNESCO Memories of World Program. Buddhist chanting of Ladakh is the only practice of Buddhism to be registered on the UNESCO list of intelligible cultural heritage. So we are discussing about the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage list in India. Okay, so UNESCO, United Nations, okay, educational, scientific, and cultural organization, the premier specialized agency of United Nations to promote culture, science, etc. So they declared UNESCO sites. So in two categories, One called these natural sites, one called the cultural sites, and the third one is the mixed sites. Okay, they have three different sites declared on the world. One is the natural sites, one is the cultural sites, one is the mixed type of sites. Okay, so UNESCO World Heritage Site is declared every year. Okay, and in India we have 40 UNESCO sites. Remember this? In India we have 40 UNESCO sites. Fine. After which 32 are cultural, 7 are natural, and 1 is mixed. Fine. And among the Indian states, Maharashtra has highest number of UNESCO sites, around 10. Okay. So to this, so question number option number 3, the Sri Harminder Sahib is the only monument of Sikhism to be recognized on the UNESCO. It's wrong. This has not been recognized. So 1 and 2 are right. Answer is B. Then moving further, question number 2, the Sari Chu River, often mentioned in the news, is from which of the following state? It is from Arunachal Pradesh. This river is flowing in the northeastern states of Arunachal Pradesh. This is the right answer. Then moving further, with respect to the secured overnight financial rate, consider the following statement. The interest rate by the RBI intervention. It is an influential interest rate that the banks use to price the US dollar denominated derivatives and loans. It is based on the transactions in the treasury repurchase market. Which of the following is true? So both are correct. Okay, it is an influential interest rate that the banks use to price the dollar denominated derivatives and loans. It is based on the transaction in the treasury repurchase market of USA. Treasury repurchase market, so declared by the Federal Reserve in USA. Federal Reserve of USA. So see the right answer. Then coming to the next, there is a following statement with reference to Alzheimer's disease. Okay, Alzheimer's is a regenerative brain disorder. Okay, so that slowly robs people of their memory and thinking ability. It is not regenerative but degenerative. This is not regenerative. This is so degenerative. Brain disorder. Okay, so one is wrong. Genetics and aging are non-modifiable, irreversible factors in Alzheimer's diseases. That's true. So only the right option is 2. So option is B. Coming to question number 5. Uh, Trunca tofa velum carasum, T incrustatum, T aculatum, and T irregulari are recently seen in news as species of which of the following? They are the coral reefs. So the 4 types that are recently located, say, are the popular coral reef. Okay, so they are identified recently. They are the coral reefs. Fine. Okay. Fine. Then moving to the next question number 6. Which among the following best describe the concept of domestic systematically important bank? So they are so big that in case any problem happens with them, the country's economy will be affected. So banks that are considered as too big to fall are called as systematic DSIB, domestically systematic systematically important banks. And in India, the three banks have been declared on this category from the from the public sector. It is the SBI, and the private sector is the HDFC and ICICI. Okay, so three banks of India are on the domestically systematic important banks list. In case anything wrong happens to them, it will have a severe impact on the Indian economy. This is what. Then moving further, which of the following is correct about vetiver upon mentioned in the news? It is used for cosmetics, aromatherapy, and Ayurvedic soaps. You know, this is a grass. This is a grass, and it has its own flavor. And this oil is used in these things. So it is used for cosmetics, aromatherapy, and Ayurvedic soaps. So this is a leaf, and the juice of the leaf is used for enhancing its aroma, or we use in the aromatherapy. Then moving next, which of the following countries are part of the regional comprehensive economic partnership? You know, RCEP is a new development, and this is a group of countries with 10 ASEAN 10 ASEAN members, and so five others. So India was to be a part of this, but at the end, India decided not to join this. So India is not a member. India justified that during this, Chinese products will go for the market as well as it will affect Indian manufacturers. So government decided that. So this is what, so negotiations are on for this, and in the negotiation process India is there, but when it was signed finally, India decided to backtrack and to backtrack from that. Fine. So right answer is one is right. So China, okay, then Japan and Myanmar. So okay, so China, Japan and Myanmar are the correct answer. So answer is A. Then moving further, which of the following countries have joined the new strategic arm reduction treaty? So this treaty is between only two countries. They have built it and they are doing reducing it. This is US and uh, okay, Russia and USA. These two. So they have the Cold War. They are under intense armament built up, and at times they practice the method of surrendering armaments, or you can say destroying armaments. For safety and security of the humankind. Then coming to answer is A. Coming to the last question. Recently, the Mullah committee was in news. It is related to jail reforms. Because in India, there are so many inmates, but majority of them are prisoners of war. So this committee is appointed to find the okay, the influence of the criminals, what is going inside the jail. Okay, this is to be done in a more proactive manner. So this Mullah committee has been declared for this. So students, so we have covered the question, the topics and the MCQ on that. Hope that this class is interesting and enjoyable for you, and we'll meeting subsequently in these classes. Till then,